I'm going to share with you 10 mistakes that I made in the real estate game. Now, when I tell you this stuff, there's no particular order. I'm just letting you know these are the mistakes that I made. And if you pay attention and you take heed to it, you won't make these same mistakes. So, number one, I overpaid on my properties at the very beginning. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just getting into this. I was just pretty much winging it, just like most people do. And I was buying it and I bought them wrong. That's the main thing you got to understand is when you're buying these properties, you got to buy them like distressed or dealing with motivated sellers. These are things that I learned with experience later on. But man, I was buying these properties off of MLS and I wasn't even negotiating the prices. I was just buying it as is, where is, and whatever the price they were asking, I was willing to pay for it because I was so excited about getting into real estate and making a dent in my income. And I made a dent because I lost a lot of money. So don't make that mistake. Number two, I didn't have any mentors. I wish that I had a mentor to help me out and guide me because some of these mistakes that I'm making or some of these mistakes that I made back then could have easily been avoided had I had somebody to help me out and guide me. And nowadays, with technology and a lot of the quote unquote gurus out here, there's a lot of people out here you can choose from. You need to vet them, make sure that they are who they say they are. But there's a lot of information out here on the internet and podcasts and videos and YouTube and all this stuff. So you need a mentor. That's what I didn't have. Number three, I did not have a clear plan. I should have had a clear plan when I got into this, knowing which way I wanted to go, how I wanted to do this. Let me give an example. When I first started out in real estate, I was doing fix and flip. And I did fix and flip for about a year and a half. Did I make some money? Yeah, I made some money. But the problem was I just created myself another job. And I didn't realize that until, again, I was getting into it. I did like the money. I liked the fact that I was getting into real estate. But guess what? I found another plan. And that plan was the buy and hold strategy, right? And I found a better way to make money without having to work so hard. Still in the real estate game, but now I was actually starting to get passive income and building wealth by holding on to these properties. So, number three, again, I did not have a clear plan. Now, number four, this is one of the mistakes I made, and I would have been taught this had I had a mentor, but I was going over to the properties and working on them myself. Big mistake. I made a lot of mistakes on the properties, which I had to call other contractors out there. But most importantly, the reason why you don't want to be working on your properties, this is what I recommend, is because I'm taking away from my time. I get into real estate to get my time back, right? But if I'm going over there, when I got off work, I was going over there doing some painting. I don't know how to do carpet work, but I was doing painting the walls, or I was fixing a toilet, or installing faucets. Those things, you can hire people to do that, all right? You can hire people to do that, to take care of it while you're working your corporate America job, or while you're with your family, or while you're on vacation. These things I just did not know. I thought I was saving money by doing the work myself, and it didn't look as good, and I'm not a contractor, but I was able to do it, but it didn't look as good. So that was another mistake I made. Number five, one of the mistakes I made was I was underestimating the expenses that I had, okay? Had I done better research, I wouldn't have extended myself financially. So some of the expenses I'm speaking of is like, at the very beginning, what I was doing was, like the insurance. I was paying too much on insurance when I should have called like several different insurance companies. Expenses like, utilities. I should have negotiated those and called different people. Contractors, there's certain techniques that you can do to help you out along the way to make it a lot easier for you. All right. So expenses were just too high for me, but I was still able to manage it and make it happen. Another thing was I was buying the wrong types of properties. Now, let me clear that up. I was buying the right properties, but at one point I almost bought the wrong property. Okay. I was almost getting into mobile homes. And then right before I bought it, a banker, they wouldn't even give me the loan on it. And I found out that they're just not good investment properties. I'm not saying a mobile home park, I'm talking about the mobile home structure itself. It's not very good. Just take my word on it. They're like a liability. You will lose money. Even if you could pay cash for it, it's not good as an investment, mobile homes. So buying the property or buying the wrong type of property. Here's another mistake that I made, number 7, when it comes to real estate investing and mistakes that I made. Passing on good deals. Passing on good deals. I can remember there was a few of them that I passed up. Again, didn't know what I was doing, and I was being just being passive. I was being passive, and I passed on good deals. I was being complacent, right? So you can't do that. Don't pass up on good deals. Number 8, not researching enough. Had I researched some of the properties that I were in, I would have found out that they were not that great. Or the properties that I passed up, had I researched, I found out they would have been good. But I did not do enough research. Number 9, lacking knowledge. I lacked the knowledge of real estate. I say that at the very beginning, that everybody says, hey, what's the first thing I need to do when I get into real estate? What should I do? Get as much knowledge as possible. Get as much information and knowledge as possible. So I lacked a lot of knowledge in real estate. And number 10, last but not least, I was getting tenants in my properties, but the problem was I wasn't screening them thoroughly enough. All right. That's a big mistake. And most people make that in the real estate investment game, whether you're brand new or consummate pros. We don't screen our tenants thoroughly enough. And I do like most people at the beginning. What I was doing was I was just so happy that I got a tenant and they wanted to get in my property. I didn't screen them good enough, and I would have found out they were sometimes bad. And that's just the way it is. But when you thoroughly screen your tenants, you won't have that saying of the taxes, toilets, and tenants, because the screening process is the very first hurdle and barrier that they need to go through to make sure you got good tenants and they're going to take care of your property and they're going to stay there long and going to pay you on time. Thoroughly research them and screen them. You won't have a hassle in real estate. So all these 10 mistakes, guys, you don't have to make them now, because I just showed you and talked about it and got into detail. Now you can go out there, make it happen, and don't make the same mistakes. See you in the next video.